Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and I want to talk to you about something that's a little different. I wanted to bring back some content and different ways to do it, right? So one of the things that I feel like I had a challenge of facing that is slowly becoming a little bit more accessible from an account that's progressed from early to mid to late game. If you've seen my previous videos before, you'll see that like I've gone through a state of progression. My account evolves, right? And I was thinking about it, and this is all kind of like based off of convenience and kind of adapting to the terrain of what my account is currently evolving into. And allow me to explain. My previous team that I used to have that I did a showcase on included champions like Mithrala, Lydia, Royal Guard, and I think at first it was like Cold Heart, and I'm trying to remember exactly and Seer. So those are like my original 5, and then as G-Nut came out, we ended up dropping a Cold Heart for Newt, and that became a more consistent team. Maybe not so much at the same speeds, but pretty close. You know, we were doing pretty well around like the 20-second to 23-second range. Granted, there may be some variables, there's some RNG. You know, you may slow it down a little bit, but for the most part, it increases efficiency, right? Well, as I've been growing and adapting, and my builds have been coming better, and like my account's growing as a whole, I started to start pushing with Newt specifically into harder content like Fire Knight. And amongst those is like trying to find the solution to being able to have a more consistent team. And as a result of that, Newt himself evolved into a build that changed into Relentless, believe it or not, right? So I'm using Relentless on him. And one of the things I noticed is that like it affected other teams, right? And that's something you got to be in mind when you're using one champion that fits multiple content areas. You know, like I used him at Spider, and then I also used him in Hydra as well. And you know, running him in the normal build, which was basically just high speed with high accuracy and as much damage as I could slide into as possible. And then, you know, changing over to Relentless, it changed the dynamic of things. I started failing some of my runs in Spider, and I was like, you know what? Do I feel comfortable constantly changing out one piece so that Gina could still be valuable in Spider Den? Or, you know, that's a lot of, over the course of your account, that's going to be a lot of silver that's going to be consumed. Am I okay with that? Not really. How do I feel with the previous build compared to the first build? Well, in Hydra, as well as even in Fire Knight, I'm enjoying the Relentless set. It's actually giving me a lot more opportunities to maybe increase my damage output. Matter of fact, my recent personal best on some of the higher stages of Hydra was like in the hundreds of mils now, and I'm like, okay, that's good. You know, I'm seeing progress, right? But then I still had to face the issue. It was like, well, what's Spider? You know, like, what do I do with the Spider situation? And at first, I was doing the switch out with that with one piece so that I could break the Relentless. But then I was like, you know, man, there's got to be another way. And then I was looking at champions, like how I did a review against my account recently. I started repositioning, like the last gear event removal, I started repositioning some champions I didn't use before. Like my Brogni kind of went by the wayside. Now he's back in action. And then I was like, you know what? I got some champions I recently acquired, like Kalvalax, that I'm not doing anything with. So let's put them in there. And I started doing some research, and I started doing some building, and then lo and behold, as of this recording, I have done over 50-something plus runs in one session. I think it's like 55 or 60 or so. And then the previous set of like runs I've done was another like 30 or so. So it's like in the hundreds right now in terms of like total runs done. And out of all those runs, I have 100% success rate. So let me just preface that right now and just say that based on the way my stuff is built and based on the way my situations are going, and I'm going to elaborate more on it, I haven't failed. Just being real. And I've had different outcomes that have, like different RNG elements that have happened throughout the course of this fight on multiple occasions, and the team still does what it needs to do over the course of the fight. So, allow me to break it down. So, the team is Kalvalax lead. We have Theodore, Artak, Mordecai, and Royal Guard. So, we have 2 epics, and the rest are legendaries. Now, I won't deny, this may not be a free-to-play friendly or a new player friendly type of comp. There's not really that many alternative options in terms of like champions to use and whatnot. However, this is a great starting point for players to kind of get like an idea of the ideology behind it. And maybe you could build something that's built towards, you know, with the champions you have in mind. So, allow me to explain. Kalvalax's passive gives him the opportunity to place poisons right at the beginning of the fight. I think you get like 4 or 5% poisons, which go to the boss. And then Theodore, and he also does enemy at max HP hits too as well on his A3. To all enemies, so I don't know if you see that. Although I think this one has some nuances behind it, which I can explain down the road. Then you have Theodore, who also activates poison, so that's some synergy there. But he also activates HP burns in the same ability, so that's where Mordecai comes in. So the way it's going to go is Mordecai is going to open up giving A3 to whatever's out there, and then you're going to see Theodore use his kit, his A3, which basically increases the duration of all debuffs that are poisons and HP burn, and then activates in one time. So basically, you get an activation at the cost of no turn count reduction on the duration of the debuff, right? And then Artec will come in with his A2 to activate another rotation of the burns. So you get 2 burn activations with a little bit of extra poison activation, right? And then finally, to round it off, you're going to have Royal Guard do his AoE, his takedown, to clear up as many of the ads as he can. And if there's any struggles at that point, Kalvalax is going to go ahead and clear it up then with his A2. If there's any left over, any trickle over, I think normally you could probably tune this, and I actually try to do minimalistic on this one yet again because I'm trying to save resources as much as I can. We got more content on the road, so you might as well save as much as you can now, right? But I'm pretty sure if I were to tune up Kalvalax and Royal Guard to be super, super efficient, that pretty much would be the end of the fight right there. But I wanted to show you guys how the run will go. And as a matter of fact, let's get into it. And then I'll show you guys the speeds and the rotation, and you can kind of build the base off of that. But take a look. So we started off with the poisons. And then, of course, the first rotation of ads, or the first turn where we get the extra 2 that spawn, is going to be with Mordecai. Mordecai's going to place his AoE HP burn. Now, in my experiences, I've had the 3% where at least one of the ads didn't get it, and it didn't change anything. We had that level of consistency. All the RNG's been fine, right? Theodore, once again, he goes in with his A3, automatically activated. Then you have Artec doing his A2 to activate it again. And you could kind of tell we're already kind of down to like the 60 percentile range for the HP. I do have, and this is the only caveat that I'm going to say right now that may affect the run in terms of efficiency even more, but I do have a 5-star Brimstone on Artec, and it lands pretty consistently. So like I will give a nod to that, but I've seen chances or opportunities where the burn doesn't, or the Brimstone doesn't get placed, the smite doesn't get placed, and we still have success rate regardless. But 2 activations so far, and then of course we got the ads that we're practically going to kill here with takedown from Royal Guard. Pretty much they're all dead. We do have some left over, but he's already down towards his last 25, maybe 26, 27-ish% rate left. We're going to AoE clean up whatever ads that didn't die down, which means that he also takes a little bit of damage there. That wasn't maximum 10% HP hit, but we did kill some ads, and he did absorb some, so look at where we are already. Now, I would say, and I would argue, even without the Brimstone proc, another set of activations of the poison would be pretty darn close. Now, with that being said, I still got Theodore rotating in, which will give us another opportunity here to give a little bit more damage, and this really seals the deal. So, what happens here is I A2, and you see all these extra poisons we now have in play. If it wasn't close before, it is guaranteed now. This boss is dead. So, in the worst case of scenarios, even if you have to go that extra distance and you don't have the most optimal gear for your Royal Guard and your Kalvalax, you still have a pretty significant output coming into the team here. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm actually going to show you guys a quick run. I think on average it's around 28, 29 seconds with all the extra elements of RNG consistently being applied to it. But I want you to see the run. It's been pretty good. For the most part, it activates. Everything's going its way. We're already under 25%. We did a little bit more damage there. And then the boss ate and torpified. It did kill my Kalvalax. We got Brimstone proc. And, the run's still kind of happening as it goes. And I'm only 23 seconds in. And then, you get the AoE HP burn. It's kind of basically like a throwaway, for lack of better words. You get a couple more runs. But, the way this will play out, it's pretty much guaranteed to just constantly shift. And I like this because it kind of addresses any potential chances that I could fail. There's an answer towards it. And we have that layer of consistency that I've been looking for when it comes to Spider. Now, my previous team with G-Nut was consistent because, 3 times the extra enemy max HP hits were guaranteed basic. That was what secured the run. If I missed a ad getting eaten or whatever, it was still covered, and we still had that in catch with G-Nut. But freeing up G-Nut from this particular set of content means that I could just leave him now in Relentless, maybe improve and evolve the way the Relentless is going to look, maybe add some more damage to it, adjust the speeds as I see fit, and it won't impact this particular dungeon now. And that's what I cared about the most when it came to this build. Now, I want to show you the speed so you can kind of have a good reference point for the team, as well as some of the AI setups I had. I'm going to start it from basically top to down. So Kalvalax, he is at 233. Keep in mind, he is in the lead role, so he is going to apply a speed aura to the team for 19%. He does pretty much open up with his A3, and then prioritize the A2 so he can get some extra hits in it if he does make it to that far. Normally, he's the last one to go in the rotation, so he's pretty much going to be the one that gets slept from Torpify. So really, after the A3, that's it. There's not really much else you can expect from him. But 233 base speed, and then, of course, with the Aura, you kind of have an idea. He is built with accuracy and a little bit of damage to kind of help him out. I didn't try to go too ham here because, like, I'm saving, some of the pieces for other champions. I'd rather build up a little bit more aggressively. But this was just like a good, like, all right, let's just see what we could do with this, Theodore, on the other hand, he's kind of built more for survival. He is a little bit faster. He's 245. Mind you, we still got the overhead of the speed buff coming in, but he's over the 350 accuracy range to apply some debuffs, so that's also healthy for him too. The main thing is a little bit of tankiness with a little bit of speed and the accuracy, so he doesn't get plopped over from that first Turpify, right? Our attack is a little bit slower than Theodore, which is what we want. He's at 239. With 545. Now, mind you, this build that I have for Artec is actually kind of a little bit more geared towards Sand Devil. I'm plugging and playing him in as he is. So if you haven't seen the Sand Devil team, you go take a look at that. But overkill in the accuracy, for lack of better words. But around the 239 range with, area bonuses and whatnot. And he's pretty much good to go. It really doesn't matter the order. They all go before the boss gets their turn. So if you go up in speeds, you're okay. It's not mandatory to hit these numbers. But if you were a little bit higher, as long as you got the order priorities kind of going down well enough, you're good to go. And of course, you gotta make sure you got the accuracy to land everything. But he opens up with his A2 just to make sure that we insta-pop it before the ads get eaten or they die. So the goal is for Mordecai to apply the debuff of HP burns, activation for Theodore without decreasing the duration, then Artec actually does decrease it with his AoE too, right? Mordecai is going to be faster, so you see 245, 239, and then now 255. I believe he is the fastest in this group right now currently, and I am standing accurate here in that regard. He's at 255 with 383 accuracy. Basically, we just want to make sure he lands his AoE HP burn. That's all we care about, and he's the first one to go. And of course, we have it set so that his HP burn is the first one to go up anyways. Royal Guard, on the other hand, we did want a little bit of damage. We want a little bit of output from him. He is in, if you can see it, he is in Crushing Rin at level 2. I don't think that's going to play too much of a heavy contribution to it because the ads are pretty low as they are. And you have Kalvalax's A3 to kind of cover it. But the main thing is that you have 245 accuracy, enough damage to complement the takedown ability. And then, of course, accuracy doesn't hurt if you're using him in other areas for decreased speed or something like that, right? So the main thing is that he's opening up with his A2. So to reiterate how the run goes, it's Mordecai with his AoE HP burn. You want him to be the fastest, 255 or higher, 383. I mean, you could literally go to, 245 is the speed of the Spider 10. You could start at 246 and scale everybody up, and that would be just fine. Now, I don't mind a little bit of extra, leniency, a little bit extra, efficiency. You could play off of the increased speed that you get from the aura. You can play with all those elements in mind, but the general idea of it is that Mordecai into Theodore, into Artec, into Royal Guard, into Kalvalax, and then you have Theodore and the rest of them follow back up with any residual left over. If you have enough damage to output, I'm pretty sure you can get this down to like a 17-second run, and it's very, very accurate. I'm not going to go out of my way for I just wanted to kind of showcase a fun, experimental team that just incorporates different champions that I've been kind of neglecting, in the lack of better words, and bring them back to life. So I hope this video gives you another perspective of things. Now, in terms of variants, I wanted to say this at the very least. In terms of what's replaceable, I will say that Artec and Mordecai are very replaceable. I will even say Royal Guard is very replaceable. Theodore might be a bit difficult, and same with Kalvalax might be a bit difficult. And here's why. Artec really, for the most part, is just a AoE HP burn, and there's multiple champions that do it, like Theodore, for example. Mordecai is an HP burn champion that's AoE. As long as you got another one that does that, you're pretty much good to go. And then, of course, Royal Guard is an AoE enemy max HP hitter. I'll give you a perfect example, one that's at an epic level. Husk, you could probably put in and place this, and it would work just fine, as long as you got the damage output to do it. And that's pretty much it. Theodore's a little bit harder because he has that, activation without reducing the turn count of the debuffs themselves. Kalvalax is also a champion that places poisons with his kit, his passive, and it's not really conducive to him having a turn. I did think about maybe incorporating Taurus as an option there, but you're going to consume a whole turn, and if you don't clear the ads with Royal Guard completely, then that could be a little bit of a concern, right? And also then it would affect the turn count and the turn position. You would probably want Kalvalax to go first, which may be beneficial, who knows? But I did want to give you guys perspective of a different way you could do it. You could maybe add someone in front so you can give Mordecai a chance to get the HP burn on the other two champions, giving you 2 more to do. There's a lot of ways you could play this out. My way isn't the only way to do it. I'm just giving you perspective that HP burns, despite kind of falling off of the meta when it came to how Spider was originally being positioned at when Hard came out. Now it's kind of resurging back as like, yo, it's still relevant. It's still pretty good. Maybe not to the full extent, but it's still there's still playability. There's still viability in it, and I want you to be aware of it, okay? Now, all that being said, I will say this. In terms of like burners that are really, really ideal, we did get Sulfurion, who's a fantastic champion. As a matter of fact, I think some of the best teams right now in the world when it comes to speedrunning Spider 10 incorporate this monster, because not only does he apply the HP burn like Mordecai does, he activates it instantly too as well. So you still get the 2-turn count, but you also get an extra activation as well, and that's nasty. So imagine having an extra burn exploder in your burner at the same time. This guy would be the best replacement for someone like Mordecai, and it would speed up the run tremendously. Matter of fact, you probably would end up finishing the run without the need of all the extra stuff at the end, to be honest with you. You can forget Kalvalax and all the rest of it. I think, him plus 2 burners and then maybe a Theodore or something. I don't know, just throwing out some examples out there. It's ridiculous. Maybe another like big enemy max HP champion like Gina could probably get you over the hump. I could see a Krizia, all those champions. They're crazy. They're crazy in terms of the opportunities that this guy opens the door for. But any activators, any of those champions that I listed before would be like a great opportunity for you to kind of like cycle in another champion or take some out. So there's a lot of flexibility with this type of build. And with that being said, I hope this video finds you well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And is there any other content you would like to see some variations to? I'm actually open to some suggestions. With that being said, always remember, stay ascended.